Hello there, Katarn here, and it is Wednesday, my dudes. Let's do the comics. First up, we have Dr. Aphra number 25 by Simon Spurrier and Kev Walker. The Catastrophe Con, Part 6. The comic opens with an epic two-page spread of Vader murdering his way through a Kresker prison while Aphra pleads with Tulvin to erase her mind. Something about the panel where Vader comes across BT and just goes, "You," really cracked me up. Maybe it was BT's reaction. His beep can basically be translated into, "Oh, fuck." That was pretty entertaining. But either way, pour some out for one of the best damn murder droids ever made. He's up there in the Murder Droid Hall of Fame right now with IG-88 and HK-47. So in a bit of a twist, Tulvin ends up wiping her own mind so that Vader has no way of locating Aphra. Even though it probably won't work, which Aphra does point out to her. But at the end of the day, Tulvin is doing it for love. She cares more about Aphra surviving than anything else, including what happens to herself. Watching from afar as Vader attempts to interrogate Tulvin, Aphra is found by Lopsit and Tam Posla, who is pissed about the whole fake prisoner exchange thing from issue 24. Just when he moves in to arrest her, 000 arrives and kills him dead. Sad to see him go. He's a pretty interesting character, but he had a good run, and I'm honestly surprised that he lasted as long as he did. People that know Aphra don't generally live long, not in this series. 000 waxes poetical about all the torture he has in store for Aphra, but she doesn't seem to care, which really irritates him and amused the hell out of me. She doesn't care about any of it. She's way too busy watching the hollow feed of Vader and Tulvin. In a very Aphra-esque twist, she didn't just wipe her mind. She installed new false memories of Tulvin murdering Aphra, mostly to further throw Vader off of the trail. That's so fucked up though. As painful as it would be to have the memory of someone you love taken from you, Tulvin has to now live with the memories of murdering the person she loved. All done in a selfish act so that Aphra can have a fresh start. That's cold. Just as Tulvin is being brought back to the Imperial shuttle in Imperial custody, the Rebel Alliance returns, led by Hera Syndulla and Sanastaros, and engages the Imperials on the prison. You know, this definitely felt like a proper finale for this arc, like all the main players coming back for the big final fight. During which, Darth Vader cuts an X-Wing in half with his lightsaber, totally badass. The Hook Spores are thawed out, and they attack Vader in a brilliant two-page spread of artwork. Vader handles the spores without working up a sweat. It's a good reminder of just how powerful he is in the Force. Just before 000 is able to make off with Aphra, he's disabled by a quick blast from Lopsit, and with Trip offline, the three of them make an escape in Tam Posla's ship. Sanastaros manages to rescue Tulvin, but with Aphra nowhere to be seen, the rebels take off as the prison finally plummets into the planet. Vader updates his file on Aphra to conclude that she's likely dead and no further action is needed. I really love the shot of the Executor just floating serenely in orbit as the impact of the prison planet causes massive destruction on the planet below. Now this is where things get weird. So you remember Lopsit, the mild-mannered, shape-shifting prisoner that Aphra pawned off on Tam Posla, pretending that it was Dr. Evazan? And then later he came back, took out 000 and saved Aphra? Lopsit is not his real name, and he's not even a shapeshifter. Turns out he's been wearing an ultra-rare bioengineered creature called a pluriplague that alters his appearance. And underneath it all, he actually is Dr. Evazan. Like, what? In a totally great and very classic-feeling mad scientist moment, Dr. Evazan removes his own proximity bomb and wires it to 000's personality core. And he attempts to override the programming, boom. If either Dr. Aphra or 000 dies, boom. And the best part, if either of them are more than 20 meters apart, boom. This is a pretty fucked up spot to find yourself in, for sure. But Dr. Evazan isn't exactly wrong when he delivers the last line of dialogue in the comic. You two deserve each other. Looks like Aphra's situation is moving from bad to worse, and I can't wait to read about it. You know, this was a solid ending to an issue that I felt dragged in a couple of places early on, like issues 21 and 22, but it really came back for a good payoff. The ending really felt like a proper finale to the prison storyline. There were several pages in here that were just absolutely beautiful. Kev Walker knocked it out of the park, especially with Evazan, the Executor, Vader versus the Hook Spores, some really gorgeous moments. Yeah, Dr. Aphra is great. There have been a lot of really strong points in this series. Next up, we have Tales from Vader's Castle number 4. Night of the Gorax by Kavan Scott and Robert Hack. So I got really excited when I first saw this story in the releases a month ago. The Gorax was first created as a piece of Ralph McQuarrie concept art for Endor, and then it was made canon earlier this year in an episode of Forces of Destiny. I always thought the Gorax was a really cool design, like something you might find in the movie Willow. Love that movie. So Lena Graff and her compatriots are still stuck in Vader's castle. It turns out G3 isn't dead. In my review of issue number 3, I said that he died. Turns out, even though he went off and held off all the Death Troopers and then we never saw him again, he's still alive and well, because here he is in the beginning of this one. So, my bad. This issue's spooky story is set on Endor, and 2 Ewoks return from a successful hunt to hear some grave news from their chief. Someone, or something, is coming into the village at night and stealing little walklings from their beds, and the Ewoks vow to get to the bottom of this. The artwork is fantastic. I love all of the bright, vibrant colors juxtaposed against really pale and subdued foregrounds. It really gives off an old-school Dark Horse vibe. I'm loving this artwork. Also, there are a ton of references to the Ewoks of Endor, like Wisties and the Duloks, which are another race of creatures that live in the Force and have an uneasy truce with the Ewoks. One thing I thought was kind of neat is that in the Ewok village, they have like a village mystic. I'm going to call him a soothsayer. And all the Ewoks parade down to the Dulok village. They find out something terrible has happened there. Some large beast has destroyed everything there. They find one surviving Dulok, and they interrogate him. He tells them that there's a place of sacrifice where they were taking things to try and appease this giant beast so he won't come back. The Ewoks travel across the forest to the place the Dulok described, and sure enough, they find a great big creepy wooden effigy of an Ewok with all the little Woklings trapped inside. In a somewhat predictable twist, it turns out it's the Soothsayer who's been stealing the Woklings and putting him in here as a sacrifice to the Great Devourer, which turns out to be a great big hungry Gorax. Just as the Gorax is about to devour the lot of them, one of the Ewoks blows on the horn that he had used earlier in the hunt to call a bunch of boar wolves. And sure enough, a stampeding herd comes trampling through the valley, breaking the wooden barriers and freeing the Ewoks. They jump on the backs of the beasts and ride off to safety, leaving the Soothsayer behind to become a meal for the Gorax. Back at Vader's castle, we get a cameo of Vani, the creepy old assistant we see briefly in Rogue One, and G3, who is in fact not dead from the last issue, is now actually dead for real because Vani uses some sort of force power to just completely rip him apart. I did not realize that Vani, or anyone else for that matter besides Vader, was force sensitive in this castle, but I guess it makes sense. And then, as if things couldn't get worse, Darth Vader shows up. This series has been a treat so far. The artwork has been incredible, the stories have been really fun and imaginative and very evocative of the old EU, the way they would just explore random things in the storytelling. I'm kind of sad there's only one left, but I also can't wait to read it, so stay tuned for that. It should be coming out next week. That's it for the comics this week. Thanks for watching, everybody. Check out the rest of the channel for more content, reactions, and reviews. Leave me a comment if you have a question or something to say, and as always, may the Force be with you.